Tonight on CTV News, beating the heat.
I just like sit in front of a fan all of the time.
As the heat wave continues to scorch the province, fans and air conditioners are now hot ticket items. Plus, 2 people shot and killed in a Richmond neighborhood where police were just there hours before. And 2 Catholic churches in the Similkameen Valley burned to the ground while police deemed the fires suspicious.
This is CTV News with Angela John.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Much of the province remains under a heat warning as the mercury continues to climb, spiking into the 30s. It's prompted an air quality advisory for parts of Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley. It's been so hot, a local vaccine clinic had to close early. CTV's Ben Milder takes a look at what else had to shut down early. He's been out in the heat all day and joins us now in Woodland Park. Ben, how's it going out there?
Well, I can tell you it is still very hot out here, even as we get into the evening. According to the app on my phone, it's 29 degrees, but with the Humidex, it actually feels like 37. Woodland Park, a place where people normally like to lay out in the sun, but as you can see behind me, everyone crowded in under the shade of the trees, looking for a way to stay cool. These kids have the right idea. A water fight at the splash pad. The perfect way to beat the heat at a favorite neighborhood spot for friends to gather.
Quite a lot in the summer. This is like one of our favorite places to go.
Saturday was no ordinary summer day in Metro Vancouver, with temperatures soaring into the 30s and the Humidex making it feel 40 plus in some spots. Burnaby, one of many municipalities to open cooling centers for people. Fraser Health tweeting the extreme heat forced the early shutdown of an Abbotsford vaccine clinic at 1 o'clock. In Coquitlam, firefighters actually placed wildfire structure protection sprinklers on the roof of a vaccine clinic to keep it cool inside.
And you spray it onto the plants.
At Garden Works in Burnaby, management adjusted the hours, opening early and closing at 1 o'clock, counting on most home gardeners calling it an early day and protecting staff from the hottest part of the afternoon.
Anyone will tell you who's worked in a greenhouse, sticking around in the afternoon, when things start to get to 35, 38 plus, it's not so fun.
Many youth sports leagues canceled outdoor games and practices, but the heat couldn't keep these beer leaguers off the field. On Commercial Drive, some normally coveted Saturday afternoon patio spots sat empty as many diners opted for the cool comfort of the air-conditioned indoors.
Stay in a shaded area, drink water, stay hydrated, feel good.
I just like sit in front of a fan all of the time.
Ice cream is probably one of the best options. Like, it's really hot right now, and I totally recommend just going out and getting some ice cream.
The Vancouver Park Board opening up a pair of wading pools at Woodland and Grays Parks, giving families one more way to cool off over the coming days. Obviously, it will cool down a little bit overnight, but not by much. Tonight's expected overnight low is 20 degrees, and that is normally the average daytime high for this time of year. This extreme heat expected to keep baking us into next week. Angela?
Thank you, Ben, and stay cool out there. And this is what we can expect the next 7 days. The heat wave is anticipated to last until at least Tuesday, with the sunshine expected for the entire week. The full forecast coming up later on in the show. To try and shake off these blistering temperatures, many are rushing out to buy fans and air conditioners. And as CTV's Ben Nesbitt tells us, if you haven't done that already, you may be out of luck as store shelves are emptying quick.
Like many British Columbians, Ashley Pullman is doing all she can to stay cool this weekend. But with a newborn baby, she's got a little extra incentive to stave off the heat.
When I heard there was going to be a heat wave, I started looking right away for an air conditioner.
In an effort to keep her 4-month-old son August's room at a proper temperature, Pullman began a frantic search, but so far hasn't had any luck.
I looked around Vancouver as well as online to see if I could get one in time, and I was out of luck and was unable to get one for his nursery.
With air conditioners seemingly hard to come by, many are rushing to load up on fans. By late this morning, it was slim pickings at the South Burnaby Canadian Tire.
Everyone that's going is going in to get fans.
We found that the fan selection is pretty grim.
As you can see, the shells have dwindled down rather quickly. It's caused some to walk away empty-handed, while others are simply just taking whichever fan they can get their hands on. But for others, well, let's just say it's been a full-day affair.
We went to, so far, 3 Canadian Tire stores. This is my last try coming here, and thank goodness I have one. Maybe there's 2 more, and that's it.
As for Pullman, she plans to load up on fans herself in an all-out effort to keep the little man cool. Ben Nesbitt, CTV News.
A homicide investigation is underway in Richmond after 2 people were gunned down outside a home in the Terra Nova neighborhood. Rumors are starting to circulate about who the victims were, which has prompted one woman to speak up to prove she's alive. CTV's Penny Daflos explains, and a warning, the images in the story may be disturbing to some.
One body in the driveway, another on Bernard Street next to a Tesla with its Falcon Wing door still open, left onlookers stunned early Friday evening.
There was a guy and a girl. I saw the body out of the car when they were trying to bag it, and it was like, is it real? I've never seen something like that in my life.
Mounties confirmed 2 victims were shot dead, but won't say much else, like whether they have anyone in custody.
They had the shooter apparently trapped in the house.
And how did you hear that?
The cop. He said we have him surrounded and everything is under control.
With Mounties so tight-lipped about the details, rumors are running rampant on social media that one of the victims may be a woman who's been targeted by a stalker.
We're good. We're safe.
Cosima Mayer and her family just had an article about their ordeal in a local newspaper and want people to know the man involved is still in jail.
It's a little unsettling that people thought maybe I could have been involved in this, but it is really nice to know that people care and are worried about us.
But the Mayers were close enough to hear the gunshots, as did many others.
I'm pretty familiar with weapons. I'm an old soldier. I couldn't identify if it was a pistol, shotgun, but it was two distinct reports. Bang, bang.
And so the questions continue. Why were these people killed? And were there warning signs of trouble earlier in the day?
Late morning, I saw 4 police cars with sirens, one after another, charging this way in this neighborhood. And so I suspect the police know that there's something going on in this neighborhood.
Until Mounties say more, the rumor mill will keep turning, though investigators don't believe there's any risk to public safety. Penny Daflos, CTV News, Richmond.
2 more Catholic churches have gone up in flames in the interior. RCMP say both Similkameen churches were burned to the ground. Officers received reports of the fire at St. Anne's Church just east of Headley on the Upper Similkameen Indian Band land just before 4 a.m. Shortly after, they got a call about another fire at Chapaka Church on Lower Similkameen Indian Band land just east of Karameas. It comes just less than a week after 2 other Catholic churches were burned to the ground, also on First Nations land in the South Okanagan. Crews were busy battling a blaze in Langley this afternoon that broke out at a construction site. Heavy smoke could be seen at the scene on 80th Avenue after a 3-story townhouse complex under construction went up in flames just before 1:30 p.m. The large fire shutting down traffic for several blocks on 80th Avenue for some time.
We have crews from all over Langley attending the scene, approximately 40 firefighters on scene. At this point, there's no reported injuries, but with the extra heat, it's really taking its toll on crews.
The cause is unknown at this time, and the investigation is underway. The driver found guilty in the crash that killed a retired Abbotsford police sergeant has been fined. Conrad Nicholas Wetton was found guilty of driving without due care and attention in the 2018 crash in Nanaimo that killed retired Sergeant Shinder Kirk. Wetton's truck crossed the center line and hit Kirk's pickup. Kirk used to be the spokesperson for the Integrated Gang Task Force and the Abbotsford Police Department. A judge decided Friday that Wetton should pay a fine of $1,500 and a $225 victim surcharge. An update from the Nanaimo RCMP today is giving renewed hope to the friends and family of Lisa Marie Young, who vanished without a trace 19 years ago. Police say numerous witnesses have now come forward who were previously too afraid to speak out. Young's file contains thousands of documents and hundreds of witnesses, but the hope is that somebody out there still holds the key.
Well, obviously finding Lisa would be really significant, and we haven't done that yet. But it's hard for me to say that we have, a small little bit left to do. But That can change overnight if an important person comes forward and talks to us. That adds a very significant piece to that puzzle, and that could change.
Following this recent update from police, dozens of people marched from the RCMP detachment in Nanaimo. This is the annual march aiming to raise awareness in Young's disappearance. Organizers hope one day justice will be served.
This brings a lot more attention to the file. I think people will watch this and realize that they can come forward with new information and they're not alone.
Anyone with information on Young's disappearance is asked to contact Nanaimo RCMP. Today marks the 5-year anniversary of Arlene Westervelt's death. Her grieving family wants answers after a murder charge in the case appears to have fallen apart.
As soon as they found my sister's body, we said, this is not an accident. It needs to be investigated. I begged for an autopsy to be done, but the coroner said there would not be an autopsy because this was just an accidental drowning.
Family and friends and co-workers rallied on the steps of the Kelowna courthouse yesterday. They wore purple, which was Westervelt's favorite color. Westervelt died in Okanagan Lake in what seemed to be an accident at the time, but then her husband Bert was charged with second-degree murder. The charge was later stayed. The family is demanding an inquest into the coroner's investigation. They've also filed a civil lawsuit against Bert Westervelt and one of the RCMP officers who investigated the death. The BC Coroner Service has not yet responded to CTV News' request for comment. 2 families are out of their home and a firefighter has been taken to hospital after a fire tore through 2 houses in Langley yesterday. One of the families has a daughter with special needs and all of her specialized medical equipment has been destroyed. CTV's Mary Cranston reports.
It was a devastating loss, captured by onlookers. Intense flames and smoke, and crews fighting a losing battle. Hours later, this is all that's left of these 2 homes in Langley's historic Murrayvale neighborhood.
This is beyond devastating.
Andrea Van Enter didn't know her house was on fire until her neighbors started banging on her door just before 5 p.m. She rushed to get her 4 kids out, including her 17-year-old daughter, who has cerebral palsy.
My oldest daughter has a lot of things that she needs to get around, like a wheelchair, walkers, we have a chairlift in our house, adapted bathroom. I mean, everything is just burnt.
While she's unsure of what's next, she's happy everyone is alive, including her mother-in-law.
I think the most traumatic part was thinking that my mother-in-law had died because she's living in the basement suite, right? So I didn't know that she had gone out for an errand.
One firefighter was injured and taken to hospital. Crews say the fire appears to have started between the homes.
With the added heat, everything's going to dry out. Lack of moisture is going to create more of a fire hazard.
The heat wave making it more difficult for firefighters to get it under control, but they were able to prevent it from spreading further. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Mary Cranston, CTV News.
Outings have been put on hold for seniors living at a Burnaby long-term care home after the Cadillac converter was stolen from their passenger bus. After spending 15 months cooped up inside due to the pandemic, residents of Seton Villa Retirement Center were looking forward to finally getting out. But that dream was short-lived when staff made the shocking discovery, and the thief was caught on camera.
A lot of residents here really rely on Seton Villa and our bus trips. It's a lifeline. It's a lifeline to normal, and it's a lifeline to the community. It's really a part of all of our quality of life.
The owner of a nearby business, Oxmoor Market, has stepped up to donate the $1,500 needed to repair the bus. Burnaby RCMP say they have been dealing with Cadillac converter thefts for several years, with thieves targeting the auto part because of the valuable metals found inside. The wildfire season is already underway, but experts are looking ahead to try and predict weeks and even months ahead.
We need to know where those extreme fire weather events are going to be, and we use machine learning to predict where those will be. So you can move resources, helicopters, crews, to where extreme fire weather is.
Mike Flanagan has just been named the BC Research Chair in Fire Science at Thompson Rivers University. He'll be working with the BC Wildfire Service to develop ways to predict where and when we could expect wildfires to start, and even develop early warning wildfire notification systems.
Fire is a multifaceted problem, and you need a multi-pronged solution. There's no technology fix, there's no silver bullet, there's no vaccine.
Since we can't do anything about lightning, he says we need to try to minimize any chance of human-caused fires when conditions are this dry. And right now, the conditions are looking very dry. This is what it looked like on Friday, and today there are more areas that have gone from moderate to high fire danger ratings, with some spots sitting at extreme. The rating determines the risk of wildfire starting. It's a milestone birthday for St. John Ambulance, celebrating 110 years of caring for BC communities.
A lot of people maybe think of going to do their first aid course as a chore or something, but when it really comes down to it, it's such a valuable skill that helps so many people. We're just happy to be celebrating over a century or 110 years of being able to help British Columbians learn that and take care of each other.
During its 110 years in BC, St. John Ambulance has trained tens of thousands of people, providing them with life-saving first aid skills they need to help people in their communities. The Catholic Church says it is committed to disclosing all the documents related to residential schools. It ran 48 schools in Saskatchewan and British Columbia, including the ones where unmarked graves have been discovered in the Cowessess First Nation and Kamloops. We'll have more coming up in just 60 seconds. Coming up on CTV News at 6, this cruise ship is setting sail in the U.S. the first time since the pandemic. And there are rules for vaccinated and unvaccinated travelers. We'll tell you what those are. Plus, can virtual reality be used to treat pain? UBC researchers hope to have the answer. That's still to come. The Prime Minister is apologizing to the Indigenous community after what he calls a shameful discovery of the 751 unmarked graves at the Maryvale Residential School in Saskatchewan. Now there has been an apology on two Muslim sisters.
And I want to say to those who think that they can attack women in hijab, the people that are filling your brains with this stuff, ask what they've built. All they've done is torn down.
The rally was organized by the National Council of Canadian Muslims. The group wants to see all levels of government work together on a plan to protect racialized Albertans. And there has been another reported attack on a racialized woman in Alberta, this time in Calgary, and it involved the daughter of a prominent politician. The social services minister says her 25-year-old daughter, Raman, was grabbed, pushed, sworn at, and chased down on a sidewalk. She says the attacker kept following her, screaming and pushing her again. She also says there were bystanders, but nobody intervened. Raman says as soon as she got away, she called police.
It was quite scary what happened, but I also wanted to make sure that, I demonstrated strength in this moment, because it was really important to be able to talk to the officer about everything that happened to the best of my ability and to the best of what I could remember. We really are doing everything we can in government. So this is something that's very important to me, because I've dealt with this crap my whole life, and I know how it impacts the psyche of entire communities. So that was my minister hat. As a mother hat, I am just filled with white hot rage that somebody could dare put their hands on my daughter.
The minister's parents are from India, but she and her daughter were born and raised in Alberta. The family did report the incident to police, but so far nobody has been arrested. The city of Toronto is preparing for the most ambitious COVID-19 vaccination clinic the world has ever seen. Staff at Scotiabank Arena are getting ready to welcome 25,000 people into the facility tomorrow. As CTV's John Musselman reports, more than 1,700 shots are expected to be given out every hour.
There won't be any face-offs or layups inside Scotiabank Arena tomorrow, but there will be thousands and thousands of shots, vaccine shots. It will happen on the floor of the arena, a massive clinic that city officials say will likely double the current Canadian record for most people vaccinated in one day in one location. Mayor John Tory will receive his second shot at tomorrow's clinic.
Right now, what matters is that the remaining people who haven't had a first shot, especially, and who haven't had a second shot, should get vaccinated.
So we know they're very safe. We know they're very effective. We know they protect people. Even with the variants emerging, when you're double vaccinated, you're over 90% protected.
The Raptors practice court inside Scotiabank Arena will be the staging area for storing and preparing the vaccines. The city says there is strong demand for a second shot. The Scotiabank Clinic is fully booked. Take a look at these numbers. 25,000 booked for vaccinations. That's 1,700 shots per hour. There are 800 volunteers and more than 400 vaccinators. And for sports fans, there's an added bonus. 25 pairs of Raptors and Maple Leaf tickets will be part of a giveaway at the clinic. The City of Toronto is declaring Sunday Vaccine Day. Tomorrow's clinic at Scotiabank Arena will open at 7 a.m.
All Ontarians will soon be eligible for their second shot, no matter the date of their first. As of 8 a.m. on Monday, all adults who received an mRNA vaccine will become eligible to book their shot ahead of schedule using the provincial system. This will speed up second doses for about 1.5 million people. Yukon's latest outbreak is showing that a high vaccination rate is not enough to contain the spread of COVID-19. Earlier this week, it was reported 85% of the cases linked to the outbreak were in people who were not vaccinated. The outbreak is fueled by the Gamma variant, first detected in Brazil. Yukon's chief medical officer of health says the outbreak started in Whitehorse before spreading to other communities, many of which are seeing the virus for the first time.
This outbreak is hitting the unvaccinated community hard. And this was associated with an introduction at some time, probably a few weeks ago, but then augmented through house parties and close gathering events a couple of weeks ago.
The province is asking all Yukoners to limit gatherings to a small number for the time being. There are currently 111 active cases in the territory. Manitobans are now able to return to restaurants, go to church, and meet with larger groups as the province welcomes the first step of its reopening plan 1 week ahead of schedule.
Trailing 7-day average is 97. That's a 45% decline on a trailing average from cases from this week to last week. For the last 5 weeks, we've been seeing 20 to 24%. And this last week, we saw 45% case numbers decline.
More than 71% of residents have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, and about 27% have had their second. Restaurants and bars will be limited to 25% capacity indoors and 50% on patios. Hair salons, gyms, and indoor sports can resume operating, but with capacity restrictions. It was an extremely close vote, but Edmonton City Council decided to suspend its mandatory mask bylaw on Canada Day. That puts the city in line with the rest of the province, where rules will be expiring on the same date. Under provincial guidelines, masks are still required on public transit, including taxis and ride shares. Shock and fear in Surfside, Florida, as a fire burning beneath a collapsed condo building hinders search efforts.
It is a miracle that right now I'm on this side of the fence.
Still ahead, family and friends wait for more survivors to be pulled from the rubble. In Surfside, Miami, the number of missing has not changed. 159 are still unaccounted for, and Global Affairs says 4 Canadians may be affected, but the day has brought more questions as to whether the building should have been off limits long before the collapse. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin has the latest from Florida.
The dust and smoke hovering over Surfside grew thicker. A fire burning deep within the rubble has slowed rescue and recovery efforts. No one has been found since Thursday.
You wake up in the morning hoping that more and more people were pulled out, and
that just news hasn't been what we had hoped.
Some volunteer workers on standby to go in and help have been told it is for now too dangerous.
It kind of feels a little bit powerless to be waiting.
Oh, yes. And we did a couple units there as a remodeling, and we know the owners, and the owners are missing.
Rodrigo Salem was there in a condo 4 hours before the collapse with two of his closest friends and their daughter. They are now missing. He is desperate for them to be found alive, but also in shock.
It is a miracle that right now I'm on this side of the fence.
So many are waiting, praying for news. Some are growing frustrated, and more questions are surfacing about what could have been done to prevent the collapse. A 2018 report drafted for the recertification of the 40-year-old building pointed to what engineers called major structural damage. That's now part of the investigation. Carlo Michel Zidane-Weber's parents were original owners. They bought a condo here when the Champlain Tower South was first built. To see this is devastating, but the unit, usually filled with family and friends, happened to be empty Thursday night.
If this would have happened 2 months ago, my whole family would be dead.
Crews say they will continue to work right around the clock for those below the rubble, but also for their families. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Surfside, Florida.
There's been a deadly hot air balloon crash in New Mexico's largest city. The balloon struck power lines this morning, then fell about 30 meters and caught fire. 4 people died, including the pilot. A 5th person is in critical condition in hospital.
Fortunately, fatal accidents are pretty rare. And yeah, obviously we host the Balloon Fiesta, and we're used to dealing with these sorts of things, and the balloons are experts at navigating. But sometimes there's a tragedy that can occur, and that appears to be what happened today.
Aviation and transportation officials are investigating. Celebrations across the country as Spain scraps its requirement to wear face masks outdoors. In Madrid, tourists and locals cheered when the new changes took effect this morning. The COVID-19 restriction has proved increasingly unpopular as temperatures rise with the approach of summer. Pride is underway in Tel Aviv, where people are taking to the streets in celebration. Tens of thousands of people turned out to the first Pride Parade since the start of the pandemic. The annual event was suspended last year due to the pandemic. Artists in France are working on a mural to commemorate the time spent in lockdown.
We wanted to make something really optimistic and something celebratory.
The work is meant to be an uplifting piece that brings people together as we leave with more than a year in some form of isolation. This extended heat wave is a good reminder to not leave animals in hot cars. Still to come, how this puppy in Burnaby was freed from a sizzling vehicle and how it got stuck there in the first place. Time for tonight's Skywatch. Here's a shot of Falls Creek on this bright blue sunny day from our CTV News Vancouver drone. CTV Skywatch is brought to you by Sussex Insurance, your community auto plan experts. For questions about recent ICBC changes or location information, visit sussexinsurance.com. This cruise ship setting sail in the U.S. the first time since the pandemic, and there are rules for vaccinated and unvaccinated travelers. We'll tell you what those are right after the forecast. But first, a story about a very lucky dog who was accidentally locked in a hot car in Burnaby. RCMP and Burnaby Fire were called to this house on Government Road around 3 p.m. yesterday when someone accidentally locked their puppy inside a rental vehicle. A tow truck was called and they were able to get the dog out, and the puppy was safely reunited with its owner. RCMP say the dog was not in distress. Well, that's a good reminder not to leave your pets in vehicles, especially on a day like today. And we had another scorcher as the heat wave continues. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. We had sunny skies and above seasonal temperatures across the lower mainland today. Overnight, we will see clear skies and a low of 20 degrees. For your Sunday, more sunshine and hot weather with a high of 33 degrees or 39 inland. As for tomorrow around the province, your provincial forecast is at the bottom of your screen. For the North Island, sunny skies with with a high of 27 degrees for Port Hardy and a high of 38 for both Campbell River and the Comox Valley. For the South Island, sky-high temperatures of 39 degrees for Port Alberni and 38 degrees for both Nanaimo and Victoria. Over on the Sunshine Coast, that trend continues with the high of 36 degrees for both Powell River and Sechelt. And more sunshine along the Sea to Sky corridor with a high of 39 degrees for Squamish and a high of 38 for Whistler. And here in the lower mainland, we're in it for another sweltering day. Expect temperatures as high as 44 degrees for the North Shore and a high of 40 degrees for Coquitlam, Abbotsford and Chilliwack. And here's what we can expect for the next few days. The heat wave is expected to last until at least Tuesday, with sunshine in the forecast for the entire week. And that summer weather will continue right into the weekend. The cruise industry is mounting a comeback with the first cruise to set sail from the U.S. in 15 months. It's a voyage being monitored closely by health experts. ABC's Gio Benitez has more.
The official restart of cruises in America. The Celebrity Edge sailing today from Florida after a fierce legal battle between Governor Ron DeSantis and the CDC. A federal judge last week said the CDC overstepped its authority in requiring vaccines to sail.
It's been 15 months since any cruise ship has gone from a U.S. home port, and the U.S. market is the biggest in the cruise industry, so this is monumental.
For now, that ruling means cruise lines sailing out of Florida cannot require vaccines. But there are different rules. Celebrity saying the unvaccinated 16 and up will have to pay $178 for 3 COVID tests, 1 before boarding, 1 mid-cruise, and 1 at the end of it. Also for the unvaccinated, masks will be required at all times, and they'll have designated seating areas.
That being said, on this cruise, it's 99% vaccinated.
Beth Ann and James Black are ready to get on board. They traveled here from Dallas.
Well, it just seems like things are getting back to normal. You know, I don't feel like it's a risk as much. We were really looking forward to it.
Earlier this month, on the first North American cruise, 2 passengers staying in the same room tested positive for COVID. Celebrity says all of the passengers had shown their vaccine cards. No one else tested positive.
It's really how you treat those cases and how you isolate those passengers, quarantine them, and then have protocols to get the passengers off the ship into medical care.
It's powerful technology that can entertain, but can virtual reality help treat pain? It's a question researchers at UBC are trying to answer. That's just ahead. Welcome back. You're taking a live look from the Shangri-La Hotel in downtown Vancouver. Much of the province is experiencing a heat wave, which is expected to shatter high temperature records over the next few days. A heat warning is in effect for Metro Vancouver and the Fraser Valley. Temperatures into the 40s are expected for many parts of the province this weekend. Well, virtual reality can take you anywhere in the world, but can it stop you from feeling pain? It's a question researchers at UBC School of Nursing are trying to answer. CTV's Nafisa Karim reports.
It's a powerful technology that can entertain, but can virtual reality help treat pain?
So the way it works is mainly by transferring your attention to something very powerfully different from the pain experience.
Bertie Garrett is studying whether VR can help cancer patients experiencing chronic pain.
So it's like an add-on that they use each day. They use it for about 30 minutes each day.
So far, results are promising from focus groups.
For some people, it's a very powerful tool to help them manage their pain. It doesn't work for everybody, but some people find it very useful as an experience that gives them a pain holiday, if you like.
Are you ready? Virtual reality is already being used in healthcare on children, for example, at the ER at Peace Arch Hospital.
He was completely distracted with the games and he was not paying attention so much with his pain.
There are some limitations. You can't wear the headsets for much longer than 30 minutes. Some people also get motion sickness. But Garrett says for treating pain, virtual reality could be used alongside pharmaceutical treatments.
We'd suggest it's a supplementary measure, and it seems to work very well in acute pain. As I say, in chronic pain, we're not so sure yet, which is why we're doing this research.
His cancer patient study needs more participants. Anyone interested can email Garrett at the address on your screen. Nafisa Karim, CTV News, Vancouver.
With the Tokyo Summer Games fast approaching, one Alberta golfer is teeing off to support the Special Olympics. And as CTV's Glenn Campbell shows us, it means playing from dawn to dusk.
Kevin Leibel was up bright and early this morning. The 38-year-old is trying to fit in as many holes of golf as he can.
We teed off at 5:08 a.m., so we alarm went off at 3:30 and left the house at 4:15.
And it's all for a good cause. Kevin is walking the whole way and golfing from morning to night to raise as much money as he can for Special Olympics, which means a lot to him. He has a cousin with Down syndrome.
I saw how much joy and happiness that he got out of it. He did athletics and the confidence and the fun that he had. So I had to get involved in Special Olympics. So once I got involved as a coach, it was a blast, but I thought I could do more. So here we are.
This isn't the first time Leibel has done this. In 2018, he played 101 holes. He thinks he can beat that this year.
I think we're ahead of the pace, for sure. I want to get 110. I think we can do it.
Stephen Morris has known Leibel for 25 years. He's playing in the morning with Kevin, and then others will rotate in. He says it's great what his friend is doing.
It's pretty amazing, like what he's doing for the Special Olympics with the fundraising and everything. His coaching over the years has been, such a great job, and so it's really proud of him. He's doing a really good thing.
So far this year, through the golf day, Leibel's raised $12,500 for Special Olympics.
It's so great to see him turn his passion into something really meaningful for Special Olympics, and he also gets so much out of coaching, and he just gets so inspired by the athletes, so it's really fun to see it all come together today.
And for years to come, Kevin says he wants to raise as much money as he can for Special Olympics.
There's a plan for this fundraiser to get bigger, so maybe next year have 2 or 3 of us do this, raising money, so maybe we can get $30,000, and then grow it maybe into a full tournament. We wanted to start small, figure it out, and now we've done that, so we want to get bigger.
Glenn Campbell, CTV Sports, Calgary.
What dedication? Well, good luck to Kevin. Nesting season for turtles is once again proving to be particularly dangerous.
Well, those are perfect nesting sites for turtles if it were not for the cars that cause grave danger.
Coming up, how you can help these reptiles at risk. It's that time of year again when turtles may be crossing roads to lay their eggs. CTV's Caitlin Wilson has more on those who have stepped up to help these reptiles out.
It's a busy time of year for conservation groups like Scales Nature Park.
Our peak day ever so far was 110 calls in one day.
With many of Ontario's native turtles at risk, nesting season is once again proving to be particularly dangerous.
So the females are coming out of the wetlands or the lakes or rivers that they live in, and they're coming across the land to find a good place to lay their eggs.
Which means a number of turtles find themselves crossing the road or laying eggs along the shoulder.
Those are perfect nesting sites for turtles if it were not for the cars that cause grave danger.
Currently, the organization has upwards of 80 staff and volunteers working around the clock, fielding calls about rare or injured turtles.
Right now, we're housing a little over 18,000 eggs.
Kelsey Moxley leads several field projects, including saving turtles at risk today.
We are out there, boots on the ground conservation work. We are encouraging members of the public to get out and to help with turtle conservation.
Today, she's preparing eggs for the incubator, another common activity this time of year.
Our field teams from last night have brought all of our eggs or all of our nests that were dug up, that were laid in precarious areas such as the sides of roads.
And when the turtles hatch a few months later, they are released back where they were found, all in an effort to preserve declining population.
And now to a different group of reptiles, one that has roamed the earth millions of years ago. 5 different species of the T-Rex have been found in Alberta. Now paleontologists are studying how their teeth and jaw strength change throughout their lives. CTV's Kevin Fleming reports.
fierce lizard, or translated in Greek, the Gorgosaurus. And this is one of the most complete tyrannosaur skeletons Francois Thierry has ever worked with. But he's focused on the jaws and teeth. He and a research team have collected data from specimens at the Royal Tyrrell Museum.
We looked at 26 individuals of one species and 13 of another species that cover the full spectrum of growth, and that's how we were able to determine basically how bite force and the feeding behavior changed during the lifespan of those tyrannosaurs.
Tyrion says a 4-year-old tyrannosaur was agile and hunted faster prey. It had sharper teeth that it used to slash its victim, much like a Komodo dragon.
Whereas the big tyrannosaurs are just like T-Rex, big lumbering beasts that are basically, when they bite, they actually are capable of pulverizing bones. So we know that there's something going on, that baby tyrannosaurs are not doing the same thing as adults, but we didn't really know what was that difference and at what time that transition from the little weaklings of babies to the robust adults happened.
That change happens at 11 years of age. Darla Zelenitsky took part in the study and says that's the age when tyrannosaurs started hunting larger prey like duck-billed and horned dinosaurs.
When the animal was 60% grown, the jaws changed and they became more massive and stronger, so that the strength of the bite actually increased significantly in the more adult growth stages.
Tyrannosaur jaws and teeth are designed to bite and hold their prey while it's trying to get away.
Tyrannosaurs throughout their lives, they have very short forelimbs. They're incapable of grasping their prey. So it's like you trying to bite an apple with your hands behind your back. You basically, if the apple decides to fight back, your jaw will have to do all the work to actually maintain and seize the prey.
Their work will be published in the Canadian Journal of Earth Sciences for researchers all over the world. Kevin Fleming, CTV News, Drumheller.
Coming up, stretching it out. We'll take you to this neighborhood where folks have been gathering every day for yoga sessions since the pandemic started. A zoo in southwest China is welcoming 2 newborn panda cubs. The twin cubs are both male and were born on June 10th. The cubs' mother gave birth to 2 female cubs in 2019. Oh, they look so precious and tiny. Well, finally tonight, yoga can help anyone relax, and it has become a daily ritual for residents in an Ottawa neighborhood. Sidewalk yoga to start the day, but it's also a way to stay connected. Here's CTV's Leah Larock.
And over to one side.
Sun salutations begin on Simcoe Street.
Simcoe warrior, strong.
Yoga has become a daily ritual here in Old Ottawa East since the start of the pandemic. Class led by Meg Beckel.
Well, it actually came from my husband, Stan. And so Stan said, well, why don't you just lead a yoga? March 21st was the first one, and we've been doing it every day since.
Every resident, every ability, welcome.
And let the breeze take your branches.
What started as a curiosity for Bob Beauregard.
I've never done yoga before, so it was new to me and makes it, come and join us. So.
Is now part of his routine.
To every morning, get up, have coffee and then go join the gang for yoga. I don't know what it is, but it's the best neighborhood I've ever lived in.
And when they say they meet every day, they mean it. They come out no matter what the conditions, rain, shine, or even snow. When it's minus 40, we call it parka yoga. So my husband would shovel out our spots where we need to stand and then cover them in sand so that nobody slips.
I've started from the first day in March last year, and we've been going through rain. I usually on my porch when it's pouring rain, but...
Their yoga mat is their driveway.
Butterfly, nice big range of motion, working our shoulders.
Always 2 meters apart, but never more connected.
I only knew 2 people. I met new neighbors. Since I started doing yoga here.
I come here to see my neighbors and also because I like to stretch out before I start sitting down and working all day.
They have no plans on stopping, calling sidewalk yoga on Simcoe.
Big breath in.
A breath of fresh air.
And namaste. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Leah LaRock, CTV News.
What a great way to bring the whole neighborhood together. That's it for us tonight. CTV News continues online anytime. Have a great night, everyone.